This video was a request given by a viewer, and basically they wanted to know, or I should say they wanted my review of Creed Aventus. I don't have a full bottle of Creed Aventus, but what I do have is a little decant sample here from Scent Split. Then I have some Mancera Cedrat Boise. And then here I've got a full bottle of Mont Blanc Explorer. So I'll compare the three, okay? So we'll start off with, we'll go Cedrat Boise first by Mancera. So you won't notice this until you actually compare all three, but Mancera Cedrat Boise is sweeter, smokier, earthier, more leathery, and a little bit more synthetic smelling than the rest. So there is something all three of these have in common. They're like clones of each other, or brothers I should say. They all kind of smell citrusy in the top. Very citrusy, sharp. I call it astringent. There's an astringent kind of sourness to them at the opening. They're all very fresh, but the earthiness in there is like a woody, earthy, smoky, dirty smell. Some people will say it's a bit dirty, almost like a cigarette. And the best way I can describe it is like an older brother of Sauvage, right? So there's that scratchy kind of sharp opening that's the citrus, but then you get that leatheriness, which gives it a little bit of dirty feel to it, which is weird. But yeah, it's like if someone had been smoking a cigarette, they come inside and then they drench themselves in Dior Sauvage. I always said that's what you would get from Cedrat Boise, Creed Aventus, and Mont Blanc Explorer. Now that sounds bad, but it's not that smoky, like in terms of actual smoke smell. It's more of a leathery, dirty kind of, I think they call it acrid. It's just a hard smell to describe, but basically woody, leathery, very leathery, very citrusy, fresh. I think it is a very fresh fragrance, despite being that dirtiness to it, the gritty kind of earthiness. But yeah, so basically, this is the strongest performer out of them all. This is like Creed Aventus on steroids. It easily blows the other ones out of the park in terms of performance, like a million times stronger. So yeah, I've also described that opening as a little bit spicy, especially with like Mont Blanc Explorer. There is vetiver and pink pepper, which actually makes that spicier. So we'll talk about the Mont Blanc Explorer now, right? So you know the difference between Cedrat Boise and Mancera. So Explorer is actually more fresh because the citrus smells more natural. It's more lighter, it's not as strong, it's not as leathery, and it's not as sweet as the Cedrat Boise, okay? So this, I feel like the ingredients of this are higher quality, more natural, and it's just a lot fresher in the opening and dry down. Also, mainly because Cedrat Boise does have vanilla in it, and you can smell that sweetness when you compare it to Mont Blanc Explorer. So besides that, yeah, I have said this is a little bit spicier because it's the vetiver and the pink pepper, but it's not a warm spice, okay? It's more like ginger. If you've ever smelled fresh ginger, it's very lemony and spicy. That's kind of the spice you get in this. But they all have leather in them, so this is leathery, citrusy, masculine, woody. I don't think this is anywhere near as smoky as the other two, but you don't get that earthiness, well, as much earthiness in this. So I kind of actually prefer Mont Blanc Explorer for that reason. I feel like it's the freshest out of them all. Especially when you take Aventus, for example. I think the lemon comes across as more fresh than the pineapple. So I think the pineapple is more sweet, but this is more fresh. So something to consider. The performance of Explorer, okay, it's basically about as good as Aventus gets. So it's about, it will perform as good as Aventus does, but not as good as the Cedrat Boise. Creed Aventus, the one you want to actually know. Pineapple opening, super juicy, tropical, fresh, citrusy, sour. They still got the astringent opening, very leathery. I just can't get over the tropical, juicy smell. It makes you want to almost eat it. Like I could eat this, and I think Aventus is still the highest quality, very natural smelling, and I think you can just tell the quality of all the ingredients in here are great. I love the pineapple opening the most, actually. I think the pineapple is actually really realistic. So I love the pineapple opening of Aventus. Basically, you have Aventus, and I don't think this is as good as Mancera Cedrat Boise in terms of performance. The performance is still great on this and Explorer, so you're going to love Aventus, but the price is something that always puts people off. They don't feel like the price is justified by the quality of this. I actually think the quality of this is amazing. I don't like the price of it. I would still go with a clone like Explorer, but you definitely can't go wrong with Cedric Boise. This is like Aventus but on steroids. So if you like Aventus, go with Cedrat Boise because you'll get better performance, longevity, and they are pretty identical in terms of smell except for the opening, where this and Explorer both have citrus. This still has citrus, but it's got an additional pineapple note in it, okay? And I think the pineapple is just what kind of puts it above the others to me. And the quality of Aventus is like, it's hard to beat a quality fragrance like Aventus. Now, the negatives, besides the price of Aventus, and just that dirtiness to it, the dirty smell, and it's very hyper masculine, which you'll either get two types of people that love it or people that hate it. And I love it, okay? I'm one of the people that love it, but I didn't like it at first, so it has to grow on you, because I didn't want to smell like I smoke cigarettes and then I've sprayed perfume on me. But over time, I've actually grown to like Aventus and all the clones a lot. And the ladies which are gonna like it the most are kind of the more mature ladies, okay? So above 30 years old, 30 and up is like the age group for that. So it's a very manly smell, not for like the young kids or the teens or even people in their early 20s. I don't think it's good to go with Aventus. But I mean, it's not a safe fragrance to wear. I don't think it's safe. I think there is a bit of risk involved when it's so indecisive. I should say decisive. We have half of people like it, half people hate it. And I think it is still fresh. It's just like one of those Sauvage type fragrances. Like I said, Sauvage does come across as too strong to some people, a little bit in your face. And that's what Aventus does. I mean, it's definitely going to project a lot. And for some people, you want the projection. You want people to smell it. And other people, they don't want something that's in their face. That's like, if you're around a group of people, they're going to be stuck smelling it. Keep in mind, it is a very strong fragrance, and the best way I could describe it, I would say woody, leathery, citrusy, pineapple, with an astringent sour smell in the top, and it has an earthiness to it, very earthy, dirty, tobacco-y kind of smell, okay? So that's how I would describe the smell. And another negative besides that, the price and everything, some people were saying different batches of Aventus didn't perform as well as others. So I guess there's a consistency issue with the batches in Aventus or something like that. Whereas I've heard Cedric Boise is always going to be consistently kind of strong. I haven't really heard any complaints about the batches of Cedric Boise. How strong this is, even a weak batch of this, I can imagine would still be strong as Aventus would be. So that's something to consider if you want to know what Aventus is like. And I'll talk about the bottle actually, because I don't have a full bottle of Aventus and Cedric Boise, but I do not like the bottle of Aventus. I think the Explorer bottle is better, and I've seen pictures of the Cedric Boise bottle as well, and I actually like the bottle of Mancera the most. I think it's a little bit more colourful, pretty, and yeah, so if I had to talk about bottles, I'll probably also give the points to Cedric Boise, but my favorite is Explorer because it's the most fresh and I get the least amount of earthy, dirty smell out of it. I think this is probably the safest out of the three, but if I had to say which one actually smells the best, I still go with Aventus, okay? I still think nothing can beat that pineapple opening. To me, it's one of the best openings ever, of all time. And I don't want to overhype it because I have said some negative things about that to balance it out a bit, but the pineapple opening, seriously amazing. But the price value, I'll probably never buy a bottle of Aventus in my life for the price, honestly. I think a decant is good enough just to enjoy it and smell it. Unless you're putting all three of them side by side, you're never going to notice the differences anyway. They all smell basically identical, and the differences are so tiny that it's just almost impossible to pick them out. So there you go. What should you buy? I go with Mont Blanc Explorer. It's also probably one of the cheaper options you got and the freshest. it's a little bit less in your face, a little bit more pleasant and mass appealing, and yeah, for that reason, go with Mont Blanc Explorer. I think it's great, and Mont Blanc is a good brand as well. So it's going to be a lot of people that like Mont Blanc and they've heard of the brand. So it's like it's a designer brand, and the other two are niche. So that's another benefit is you get a designer brand out of it if you want to brag about brand names and all that stuff too. So peace.